Hey everybody, Bricks and Blocks Gaming is back with turn 15 for my 5 Parsecs from Home campaign. This solo sci-fi skirmish game was written by Ivan Sorensen and published by Modifius Entertainment. I'm Alan, let's get to the bricks and blocks of turn 15 for this campaign. During the battle against Jackal and some of Talfoyer's mutants, the hotshot pilot was able to escape through a hidden cave tunnel system and make it to their ship. However, before this enemy crew was able to escape, Baffy got close enough to throw a tracker onto their ship. As Gibbs Renegades make their final preparations to connect Tess to her hyperdrive unit to pursue their quarry, a familiar face appears. And this time, the hired mercenary is prepared to fight to the death to prevent Danik and his crew from following Talfo off the planet. Gibbs Renegades now have 3 patrons, 1 unknown rival, 14 credits, 2 rumors, and 3 story points, as they gain a bonus point every 3 campaign turns. As for my crew, I'll be showing their stats and loadouts right before the battle, as they'll have some new items to equip. To start out my pre-game activities, at the start of every 3rd campaign turn, I get to add a bonus story point, which puts me up to 3 story points. I'm still blocked from traveling due to a campaign event on turn 13. For upkeep, I have to pay 2 credits, putting me down to 12 credits. And then for assigning crew tasks, I'm going to start with some repairs. Last turn, I found a damaged plasma rifle and a damaged clingfire pistol. So I'll have Dr. O try to repair the plasma rifle. He's got a +3 savvy and +1 for his repair bot, needing a 6. With a total of 8, that is repaired. And I'll have Rhett try to repair the clingfire pistol, and he has an AI companion implant which allows him to roll twice when making savvy rolls and pick the better score. He's got his +2 savvy and +1 for the repair bot. And he will not choose the one that's an automatic failure. And with a total of 8, that is successful. And next I'll have Danik and Beldara go trading, and then I get a bonus trade action. So for Danik, 11, Beldara, 81, and the bonus, 87. Danik's 11 gets the crew quality food and booze. Recruit a new character to your crew, single use. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be used right away or if you can store it, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I can store it because right now I don't really need any additional members to my crew. Beldara's 81 gets the crew a roll on the gear table from the loot section, and the 87 from the merchant link gets me a pre-owned item. I get to roll on the loot table, and whatever it is damaged. For Beldara, the roll on the gear subtable, 14, and the specific item, 67. The 14 on the gear subtable is a gun mod, and then a 67 is a stabilizer. And if I attach that to a heavy weapon, it no longer receives the -1 to hit if the figure moved before shooting. And for the damaged loot from my merchant link, category 5, subcategory 68, and specifically 67. The 5 is a weapon, the 68 is a melee weapon, and a 67 on that table gets me a Ripper Sword. Next I'll have Ugrak go exploring, 49. Well, I guess Ugrak went to the bar again, had a few drinks, no effects. And then I'll have Charlie do some decoy work so I don't have to fight any of my rivals. And lastly, Baffy is going to go training, and he'll just gain +1 experience point. As mentioned earlier, this is where I'll be assigning my extra equipment that I got during my crew tasks, but I'll show you that a little later just for video flow. And then for choosing my battle, since Charlie is doing some decoy work, I don't have to face my rival. I didn't send anybody out looking for a patron job, so I'll just be doing a opportunity mission. I'll roll up my deployment condition, notable site, and my objective. 9 will be my deployment condition. 69 will be my notable site, and my mission objective, a 5. The 9 for my deployment condition is no condition. The 69 for notable sights is really shiny bits. If I collect those, I gain 2 credits. And a 5 for my mission objective is access. So in this type of battle, there's a computer in the middle of the board. I need to get to it and use a combat action. I roll 1d6 and add the savvy, trying to get 6 or higher to gain access into the computer. If I roll a natural 1, it means the system is hardened. And if I do that a second time, the system breaks down and I automatically fail the objective. I can also drive off all the enemies, but even if I do that, I still have to roll to gain access. But I can have any remaining crew use that, so I can use whichever crew has the best savvy. Now I'll determine who I'm facing for this battle. The encounter category, 55, and the specific enemy, 94. 55 for an opportunity mission is hired muscle. Rage lizard mercs. I don't really have anything to really represent a bunch of lizard enemies, but I'll figure something out. They have +0 to their numbers. They panic on a 1 or 2. Movement of 4. +1 combat. They do have a toughness of 5, which will be pretty tough. And they have the tactical AI. And they specialize in boarding and up-close combat. So if a rage lizard is within 1 inch of terrain, they may add +1 to their brawling rolls. I guess that means they're kind of using the terrain to their advantage somehow. For their weapons, the standard soldiers will have 2 and the specialists 1. The basic soldiers are in column 3, which a 2 gets them a hand laser, and their specialists are in column B, and a 1 gets them marksman's rifles. And since these guys are supposed to excel in close combat, I'll give all of these guys blades, even though they're not supposed to start with those. And with red zone jobs, there will be a base of 7 enemies. These guys don't have any modifiers to that, so there will be 7 total. 4 of them will be basic soldiers with a lieutenant included in that group. And then there will be 3 specialists, one of which will be a lieutenant. And now I'll roll to see if there's a unique individual. There's a +1 to this from the red zone job. On a 9 or higher, there is. And with a 9, there is. And then I'll roll up a special threat condition for this red zone job. And this will be 2. And in this case, this won't do anything. Elite opposition, all opponents with a +0 combat skill are upgraded to +1. These guys already have +1 to their combat skill. The crew's bot, Charlie, is equipped as usual with his glare sword and combat armor, but his rattle gun has now been modified with a stabilizer, which allows him to ignore the heavy trait that it has. Ugrok is also wearing combat armor, and is carrying an auto rifle, his shatter axe, and is equipped with a sonic emitter and a concealed blade. He also has a neural optimizer implanted to prevent him from being stunned. He has 1 experience point left after increasing his speed to 6. Captain Dennett Krall also increased his speed to 6, leaving him with 2 experience points. He's carrying a blast rifle with a quality sight, a hand cannon with a laser sight, and a marksman's rifle. And he's also wearing combat armor. Baffy is carrying his auto rifle with a tracker sight, a shell gun, a blade, a screen generator, an insta-wall, and he's wearing stealth gear. He has 9 experience as he's saving for a point of luck. Beldara is also saving for a point of luck. She only had 9 experience points last turn during the step where you can purchase upgrades, but gained 2 more points during the character events. So she's sitting at 11 experience points. She's carrying her rattle gun with the nano sludge modification, a blast pistol, a blade, and a screen generator. She hasn't really made use of her flex armor, so she's giving that to Dr. O, who has 4 experience points, and is carrying his displacer, and has equipped the spare insta-wall that was in their stash since turn 10. And he's also carrying the plasma rifle he just repaired, but his hand laser with the shock attachment and military rifle are unfortunately sitting in tests currently. Likewise, Rhett has also left his auto rifle with the bipod and seeker sight and machine pistol on their ship, but is carrying the Klingfire pistol he fixed, as well as his grapple launcher and screen generator. He's wearing stealth gear and had an AI companion implant installed, which allows him to roll twice for savvy tests and select the higher roll. He has 6 experience points. I'm supposed to be fighting Rage Lizard mercenaries, but I don't have enough lizard figures, so I'm using these xenomorph-looking characters that, strangely enough, are official LEGO figures from the 2007 to 2009 Mars mission theme. The enemies are supposed to be wielding hand lasers, but instead of showing lasers in their hands, I'm instead saying they just spit acid, which will function as a hand laser, and they'll have the same stats and everything like the Rage Lizard mercenaries. To differentiate the lieutenant, I'm just going to put some grass on his base, because there's no other easy way to really tell them apart. However, for the 3 specialists with marksman's rifles, I'll use regular figures to represent them, making these characters more of Talfo's goons rather than mutant creations. And they have a lieutenant that's much easier to differentiate. And Zarveross will be making another appearance. He once again has a move of 4, +2 combat, a toughness of 5, 1 luck point, and is carrying an infantry laser and a blade. This battle starts out with a firefight in progress. Rhett and Dr. O were in this building repairing the Clingfire pistol and the plasma rifle when the gunfire erupted. So those are the only weapons they'll have to start the battle, as their other ones are aboard Tess. Charlie is off-site, doing guard duty for the crew's hyperdrive attachment. Ugrok apparently is still at the bar he found while exploring. And the rest of the crew has charged back to the landing pad from town after seeing Zarveross' ship fly overhead. This leaves my team split up and somewhat unprepared for combat. The enemy lizard mutants are charging toward my team, while the mercenaries have situated themselves around the battlefield to pick off my crew members. The objective for this battle is technically access, meaning if one of my crew members climbs inside of Tess, uses a combat action, and scores a 6 or higher on a savvy roll, I'm supposed to win the battle. However, I want to finally put an end to Zarveross, so instead of winning with this roll, if Rhett or Dr. O achieve this, they simply gather their weapons from the ship, and the roll represents them dodging gunfire while doing so. For any failed panic rolls during the battle, the lizard mutants will always be the ones that run away, unless Zarveross has already been killed, and at that point, his troopers will run away instead. In my pregame rolls, I determined there would be some really shiny bits. These will be 2d6 plus 2 inches, 13 inches from the center of the board going that way. So, going 13 inches from the center of the board, we'll put some fuel cells right over here. If one of my crew members gets to that and spends an action to pick it up, they get 2 bonus credits. I'll attempt to seize the initiative, needing a 10. I get -1 for fighting hired muscle, but I get a +1 for being outnumbered, +3 for Dr. O's savvy, and +2 total for having 2 scanner bots, for a total of +5 to this roll. And with an 11, I seize the initiative. Since none of my characters can see any of the enemies, I'm just going to do some movements. We'll start back here with having Baffy move up 7 inches, right over here. Danik now has a move of 6, so he can move about 2 inches up this ladder, and then about 4 inches over to here. And then originally I wanted Beldara to move down this alleyway, but that's going to put her right out into the firing zones. So instead, I'm just going to move her 5 inches over this direction. And now we'll go over to the back side of the table. And taking the roof off this building will reveal Rhett and Dr. O. And they can both move 5 inches out of this building, which will get them right around to here. And Rhett at least wants to get to Tess to get his weapons. I'll roll up my reactions for round 1. I can use everything there, I think. Yeah, I can give the 3s to Rhett and Baffy, the 2 to Beldara, and the 1s to Dr. O and Danik. And I'll start with Danik grabbing his marksman's rifle, and he's going to fire all the way down here to try to take out their lieutenant. He's got 1 shot firing into cover, but he has a +3 to hit, needing a 6. That's only a 5, so he misses. And that is really unfortunate he missed that, because he's likely going to be shot at now by the lieutenant. But we'll go over to Beldara. She's just going to climb this ladder to right about here, where she'll fire her rattle gun at this enemy that she can just barely see over some of this terrain. So she needs a 6, she has a +2, and her nano sludge cancels out the heaviness for this round. First shot misses with a total of 4. Second shot misses with a total of 5. And the final shot also misses. Well, with some really horrendous shooting and none of the rest of my quick phase characters being able to get to where they can shoot any enemies, I'll just put them into snapfire mode, and we'll go to the enemy phase, where the enemy that Beldara shot at is now going to shoot at her. Beldara was confident that she'd be able to take out this enemy, so she left herself right out in the open. So with a +1 to hit, needs a total of 5, but misses with a 4. And continuing with the returning of fire, the lieutenant is now going to shoot at Danik. Danik does have cover, but the lieutenant has +2 combat. So needing a total of 6, only gets a 5. And with that miss, we'll go to the mercenary standing down there by the lieutenant. He's just going to move a little bit. Right over here, where he can now see Danik without being obscured by Tess, and he'll fire. +1 combat, needing a 6. That misses. And then moving the board around a little bit, we'll have all of the lizard mutants activate. They can move 4 inches, +2 on a dash. They are tactical, so they'll try to stay in cover. This one can move right up over here. Their lieutenant is just going to move around here a little bit, staying in cover. This one here is going to dash around this way. Their last one is going to move 6 inches up here. And lastly, we've got Zarveross back here. He wants to try to stay in cover, or at least somewhat behind something. He can move a total of 6 inches. And I just realized that when this one ran by here, he was in line of sight of Baffy, and Baffy is currently in snapfire mode, so Baffy gets to take a shot at him. Baffy has 2 shots with his auto rifle, but he does have a combat of just 0. That's wide open while he's in range, so he needs a 5. First shot misses, and the second shot, that one hits. Against a toughness of 5, though, he takes him out. So finally, after bullets flying around everywhere, Baffy takes this guy down, and would have been right about there. And then for Rhett and Dr. O, well, they don't have all their weapons with them. They do have all their other equipment. So Dr. O is going to move his 5 inches right over here out into the open. And he has an insta-wall. He can use a combat action to make a wall appear right in front of him. So he will do that. And then Rhett, for his turn, he is going to move and dash a total of 7 inches right up next to Dr. O, taking advantage of that pop-up cover. I'll do a panic check at the end of the round. On a 1 or 2, one of the lizard mutants runs away, but they're all staying. So, not a horrible round, I guess. I didn't lose anybody, and I was able to take out 1 enemy. However, those mutant lizards are closing in on my crew now. Reactions for the next round. I can use the 2s and the 3. And with the insta-wall I put up, at the start of each subsequent round, I have to roll a d6, and on a 6, it dissipates. And hopefully it doesn't, because Dr. O and Rhett will be right out in the open. Oh good, it's still there. So with my reaction rolls, everybody except for Dr. O can actually act in the quick phase. So I'll start out with having Beldara fire her rattle gun again at this mercenary. She didn't move, so her nano sludge gives her a +1 bonus, so a total of +3, needing a 6. First shot hits against a toughness of 5. Takes him out. So a bunch more gunfire erupts here at this docking pad. And this mercenary goes down. And now Danik is going to fire his marksman's rifle again, trying to take out that lieutenant. And this is aimed. He's got a +3, needing a total of 6. He gets to re-roll that on a 1. Second shot hits with a total of 7 against the toughness of 5. Just stuns him. So he gets pushed back an inch and gets a stun. And then going back to the middle of the board, Rhett is going to activate, and he is going to move and dash 7 total inches over here by Tess. Now that there's no sniper protecting this side of Tess, he's hoping to get in there to get his auto rifle. So Baffy is just going to go into snapfire mode, and then the lieutenant down there is going to fire on Danik again. He needs a 6 with a +2. That hits, and with a marksman's rifle, a natural 6 is a critical, so that scores 2 hits. First hit, that stuns Danik, and the second hit, that's also a stun. So 2 stuns. So that first hit will push Danik back an inch, and the second hit will actually push him off of here. That's only about 2 inches, so that's not enough to cause any fall damage, but he will take 2 stuns from those hits. So with that, the lieutenant loses his stun, and then for this other mercenary, he can't see anybody now, so he's going to move 4 inches over here, where he's got a clear shot down here at Beldara. So needing a 5 with a +1, misses with a 3. And while that missed, there's one more enemy that wants to take a shot at Beldara. Going around to the back side of the board, Zarveross is able to move up 4 inches. And from right there, he can see 30 inches down here to a wide open Beldara. And with her high ground, Beldara actually gets cover. Zarveross has a +2, needing a 6. That does hit against Beldara's toughness of 5. That gets past her toughness. She has an armor save of 5 or 6. Oh no, that takes her out. And during last game's post-battle sequence, she was 1 experience point shy of being able to purchase a luck point. So without any luck, she goes down after taking out one of the enemy mercenaries. And I'll go around to the other side of the board to move the mutant lizards. Starting with the one over by Zarveross. He's going to move and dash a total of 6 inches right over to here. This one doesn't want to get too far out in the open, so he'll just move 4 inches over here in front of Tess. And then for their lieutenant, when he moves, Baffy down there can see him, but Baffy's too far away for his auto rifle to be able to snap fire, so this one's going to move in kind of an L pattern right over to here, total of 6 inches. And then moving to my slow phase, since Baffy didn't end up doing anything, he's just going to move a little bit to right here, and he's able to fire his shell gun 16 inches down here next to this mutant lizard. A quick reminder that the area effect, according to the Freelancer's Handbook, allows the target to be hit on a 4+ if the target is not obscured from the blast site. So needing just a 4 on this, Baffy hits against the toughness of 5, just stuns him. So this thing gets shoved an inch away from that blast, which would be right over to here. He takes a stun, and then we'll go to Dr. O over there. He wants to take some cover over here by this building, so he'll come over here. And from there, he can fire his plasma rifle at that mutant lizard. And he's going to fire 2 shots wide open. He has no combat bonus, so he needs a total of 5. First shot misses, and the second shot, that one hits against a toughness of 5 with +1 damage. That's just a 4, so he just stuns him. And another mutant lizard is pushed back an inch and given a stun. At the end of the round, I'll make a panic roll for that mercenary that fell. Nobody's retreating though. And now I'll roll a battle event for the end of round 2. 56. So 56 is an environmental hazard. Select a random terrain feature. Any character currently in, on, or within 1 inch of the feature has to make a roll. And if they roll poorly, they take a +1 damage hit, ignoring any armor saving throws. And coming back around to the front of my board, I've got 4 main structures. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, or 4. Hoping for a 1 on a D4. 3. And that's not good because a 3 is this structure and Danik is right behind it. So this is a savvy roll needing a total of 5 or higher. Danik has a +1 savvy. Okay, he defends against that. So with all the gunfire happening around this building, something inside of it blows up, flames shoot out of this window, just narrowly missing Danik. I have to roll to see if Dr. O's insta-wall disappears. It doesn't. And then we'll roll just 4 reaction dice. I can use the 1s and the 2. So I'll give my 1s to Dr. O and to Baffy. And my 2 is going to go to Rhett, and he's going to use his actions to run in here. And now he's going to try to grab his auto rifle. So he needs a 6 or higher. He has a savvy +2, and with his AI companion, anytime he makes a savvy roll, he gets to roll 2 dice and choose the best one. But the best he got is a 4, so he did not find his rifle. So Rhett apparently was too concerned with just diving for cover, so he wasn't able to grab his auto rifle. So now we'll go to Baffy, and I realize from where he is, he can actually be seen by Zarveross down there, wide open. So he's going to move over here where he's got a little bit of cover, and he is going to fire his auto rifle down at the mercenary. Zarveross has cover, so Baffy needs a straight up 6 to hit. He's got 2 shots. First one misses, and the second shot misses as well. And Dr. O, who also isn't a very good shot, is going to move over behind his insta-wall, and he's going to fire at Zarveross. And while the structure that Zarveross is behind isn't actually providing him any cover, Dr. O has to shoot over this, so I'm saying that's kind of blocking his view a bit. Now, unfortunately, with the plasma rifle, if you fired it in the previous round, the next round it only gets 1 shot. So he's got a straight up 6 that he needs on this, and he misses. And now going to the enemy phase, Zarveross could fire at either Dr. O or over here at Baffy. He figures his lizard mutants will be able to get to Dr. O soon, so he's going to fire at Baffy instead. Zarveross has a +2 combat, but Baffy is in cover, and his stealth gear gives the enemy -1 to hit. So on a +1 to hit, needing a 6, that hits. Baffy's toughness is only 3, which gets past his toughness, and he's got a screen generator, defending on a 5 or 6, which he defends. So a laser blast just kind of bounces off some of these barrels, so Baffy has to jump back a little bit, and he takes a stun. And now we'll go to the mutant lizards, starting with this one here. It can move 4 inches right around to here and lose its stun. The lieutenant is just going to kind of come right up here And this other one can move 4 inches this way towards Dr. O and get rid of his stun. And then lastly, we'll have their 2 mercenaries over here go. This one is going to run down the stairs and come over this way, 6 inches on a dash, while the lieutenant is just going to run down this catwalk, and he'll end up down there. And for my slow phase, Danik is my only figure left to go, and he's just going to move over here to this corner where he can just kind of poke around and see Zarveross, and he'll go down to 1 stun. I didn't take out any enemies this round, so we'll go to reactions for the next round. I can use the 1, 2, and 4. Well, I'll give the 1 to Rhett, the 2 to Baffy, and the 4 to Danik. And I'll start out with having the captain fire his marksman's rifle down at Zarveross. Since he's stunned, I'm not letting him aim, but he's got a +3, needing a total of 6 on 1 shot. That hits against the toughness of 5. That gets past his toughness. Zarveross has luck. He's going to move 3 inches that direction. So coming back to the front side of the board, 3 inches will make Zarveross come right back over here. And next we'll go to Baffy. He's going to fire his shell gun right over here, right between these 2 mutant lizards. They're both within the blast range, and neither of them have cover from it. So against the lieutenant first, on a 4+, that hits against the toughness of 5. It's just stunned. And against the regular one, I suppose that's aimed, even though that's an area effect. No, I'm not sure if you can actually aim an area effect, so we'll say that misses. So the lieutenant is pushed back an inch and given a stun. And then Rhett, he's going to come out of Tess. He's kind of giving up on his auto rifle. He's going to come back here and fire his cling fire pistol at this lizard. And this is wide open, so he needs a 5. He's got a +2 combat, and he does get 2 shots against the target. First shot for a total of 5. That hits against toughness of 5. It has a +1 damage. So that just causes a stun. And the second shot, that hits against toughness of 5 with +1 damage. So a second stun. And that weapon has the burn trait, so non-robot targets that are hit and survive move a full movement in a random direction. So it's going to move 4 inches that way. So that'll put it right over here. And it gets 2 stuns. And now we'll go to the enemy phase, and we'll start with this lizard mutant that's back here. It's going to move 4 inches out here, where it's got a wide open shot at Rhett. So unfortunately for Rhett, their spit counts as a hand laser, which gets a +1 pistol bonus and +1 snapfire bonus within 6 inches. It already has a +1 combat, so a total of +3, needing just a 5. So unless it gets a 1, it's hitting. But it rolls a 1. So Rhett gets extremely lucky there. But now we're going to go to Zarveross, and he's going to fire down here at Dr. O, and we'll see if he is as fortunate. So Zarveross has a +2, needing a 6 since Dr. O is in cover. And that hits. Dr. O has flex armor, which gives him +1 to his toughness if he didn't move on the last turn. So that bumps his toughness up, but still only to 3. And it takes him out. So with the lack of any kind of armor save, Zarveross fires his laser blast down here. It hits Dr. O, and he takes down another member of my crew. And to finish the enemy phase, since my adversaries have the tactical trait, they're going to want to seek cover. So this one's going to run right over here and go down to just 1 stun. And the lieutenant is going to move 4 inches over here, taking some cover by Tess, getting rid of his stun. And then for the mercenaries, This one's going to move up here to try to flank my team. And the one up here is going to move down to provide some covering fire for Zarveross. I'll go ahead and roll up a battle event for the end of round 4. 63. Well, my crew seems to make a lot of desperate plans. A random figure on your crew cannot act next round, but instead select another figure who can act in both the quick and slow phases. To randomly determine the character that can't act, we'll go Danik is a 1 or 2, Baffy 3 or 4, and Rhett 5 or 6. And Baffy cannot act. So Gibbs Renegades are in probably the worst condition they've been in this entire campaign. They're outnumbered. Dr. O and Beldara have both fallen. Danik is stunned. Baffy is stunned and kind of knocked out of sorts. So Rhett decides to step up and make a desperate plan for this next round. And since I still have 3 characters standing, I believe I do get 3 reaction rolls. And I just need to make sure one of these would be something Danik could use, so I'll give him the 1. Rhett's going to go in both phases. Baffy can't go. And then to see if Dr. O's insta-wall disappears. On a 6 it does, but it stays. So first I'll have Danik go. He'll get rid of his stun, and with his 1 action, he's going to shoot down here at this one lizard mutant that he can see. That's wide open. He's got a +3 combat, but I'm saying he can't aim because he's stunned. And that hits against a toughness of 5. That takes him down. So something good finally happens for my team as this lizard goes down. And then Rhett, he wants to come in and get his auto rifle, but that seems like a suicide mission at this point. So he's just going to run 7 inches over here. He's going to check on Dr. O, who's been hit pretty bad. He'll help him to his feet and tell him just to get off the battlefield. And going to the enemy phase, this lizard mutant in the middle of the board, their lieutenant, is going to move and dash 6 inches over here. And this one right here, it's going to move this direction, only 4 inches because it's stunned, right over to here, behind some cover and get rid of its stun marker. And then continuing to move around the back side of the board, we'll go to Zarveross, who can move right up over here. And from there, he can see Baffy down there. I'll give Baffy cover because he's partially obscured, and his stealth gear reduces Zarveross's combat to just a +1 bonus, needing a 6 to hit. That misses. But as I mentioned last turn, this blue-clad mercenary has plans to flank my team, so he's just going to come right up here where he has a straight shot wide open at Baffy. And his +1 combat is negated by Baffy's stealth gear, so he just needs a 5. And he gets a 6, which is a critical with a marksman's rifle, so 2 hits. First hit is a 2 against Baffy's toughness of 3, so that just stuns him. And the second hit is also a stun. And since Baffy already had 1 stun, he suffers from the 3 stuns and you're out rule. And so he basically just gets hit and kind of hobbles his way off the battlefield. And lastly for the enemy, this lieutenant over here is just going to move 6 inches over here closer to Zarveross. And with his teammates being picked off one by one, Rhett reveals his desperate plan, which is simply to escape. He's going to run 7 inches over this way with the bonus action he gets here in the slow phase. There will be a panic roll since one of those mutant lizards got taken out. But on a 5, everything's staying there. 2 reaction dice. I can use the 1 but not the 6. So my 1 is going to go to Danik. And he is essentially just going to help Beldara down this ladder. And they're going to retreat off this edge of the battlefield. And although Rhett can't act until the slow phase, none of the enemies will be able to get into a position to shoot him during the enemy phase. So I'll just go ahead and speed ahead to the slow phase where he's going to run off the side of the board. And I did double check that you are allowed to flee off any of the table edges. And so with that, I have lost the battle with Zarveross and his team holding the battlefield. For my post-battle activities, since I did not hold the field, I don't check for rival status, and this was not a patron mission. This also wasn't a quest mission. And for getting paid, I will point out that earlier in the book, it mentions for jobs with danger pay, you get that bonus pay whether you win or lose, but it doesn't say here what happens if you completely lose your mission. In the FAQ, however, it does state that you're paid no matter what. And with that, looking in the section on red zone jobs, it says that I get to roll twice, and it doesn't specify whether that's win or lose, so I guess I'll roll twice for the credits. And I'll also point out that since my characters didn't hold the field, they don't get the bonus experience point for doing a red zone job. And here it says if you win, you can make an additional roll on the loot table. I'm not exactly sure about rolling on the loot table if you lose. The FAQ didn't mention this step for losing. However, looking at other things in here, it never says anything about not rolling for losing. And it mentions if you finish the final stage of a quest, you roll 3 times. And that doesn't specify whether you won it or lost it. But it seems weird gathering loot if I retreated from the battle, so I'll skip this and go to rolling for my pay. So 2d6, taking the best one, 4 credits. I don't gain any battlefield fines because I didn't hold the field. I don't have to check for invasion. And as I mentioned a minute ago, I'm going to skip the rolling for loot step. And now for the serious part, rolling for injuries. Since Baffy was eliminated with the 3 stuns and he's out rule, he's not required to roll on this, but I need to roll for Dr. O and Beldara. First for Dr. O, 15. Well, I'm going to have to burn through one of my 3 story points. That would be death or permanent injury. And I can only use 1 story point per roll, so this one is going to count. 31. And that is a crippling wound. Require 1d6 credits of surgery immediately or suffer a permanent -1 reduction to the highest of speed or toughness. And they're going to spend 1d6 turns in sickbay. So apparently Zarveross's laser blast went right through Dr. O's leg. And I'm going to need to pay some credits or he's going to have a permanent limp. So his surgery is going to cost 1d6 credits. A total of 4 that I'll go ahead and pay. But he still spends 1d6 turns in sickbay. 4 turns in sickbay. And when I get to the upkeep phase of my next turn, I will have the opportunity to pay 4 credits to remove 1 campaign turn from his recovery time. So he might not be in sickbay for the full 4 turns, but we'll see what I can afford. And for Beldara's roll, 58. So she just suffers some minor injuries, no long-term effect, and will have just 1 turn in sickbay. For experience points, Danik and Rhett each gain 2 experience points because they survived but didn't win. And then the rest of my team gains 1 for becoming casualties. Baffy was the first character to inflict a casualty, so he gets a bonus 1 for that. And then as far as spending things, Beldara and Baffy both have 12 experience points, so they're each going to spend 10 of those to buy a point of luck. And then Rhett has 8 experience points, so he is going to spend 7 of them to increase his reactions up to 4. I think I'm going to end up needing all the credits I can get, so I'm going to sell a machine pistol I took off Baffy last turn, and I'm not going to be doing any purchasing. Next I'll roll a campaign event, 32. So apparently as my crew was running off the battlefield, somebody heard something interesting. I'll add a rumor, which I probably won't make use of, because I don't know if I'm going to try to get into a quest this late in my campaign. Next, I'll roll up a character event. Characters in sickbay can potentially do events, so we'll go Danik, Baffy, Dr. O, Rhett, Beldara, and then Ugrok. That goes to Danik, and his event is 42. And that's a heart-to-heart talk with a crew member. Select a random crew member, and they both gain +1 experience point. So same numbers as before. And he chats with Beldara, which makes sense because he was helping her off the battlefield. So he must have given her some words of encouragement as she was fighting through the pain of the laser bolt that took her down. Well, that battle did not go as expected, and because of that, I'll be adding one additional battle to my campaign beyond what I originally had planned. And that battle will release 1 week after this one, and will be posted right over here once it's available. However, because of this additional scenario, I'm going to have to delay the final scenarios of my battle, so I have time to record those and edit those. I want to thank you for watching. I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming. Play well.